All right, so this is where we left our code at the end of our Zoom session, and I just wanted to help you finish up uh, coding this. Now, I've tried this a couple different ways, and I ran some problems. You can see that Replit is having some trouble over here with our display screen. So we're going to try to write this program just from the command line. So we'll get our input from there, and we'll send our output to there, and that way we won't have to rely on this. Let me refresh the screen just to see if I can get this to go away. Maybe if I go back and go back to our number game. Yeah, so it's really having some issues. Hang on just a moment. All right, so I've logged back in again. It seems to be behaving a little bit more normally. So we were relying on the graphic environment to get our input and send our output. We're deciding that because Replit's having such a problem with that, we're going to have to get our input a different way. So here we need to create some things to help us. First of all, we have to create something called a scanner. So we can say scanner and we'll call this one input equals new scanner, and then in parentheses we say system.in. Let's see if it'll understand that. So I'm going to try to compile this and run it. First of all, we'll have a problem right here on the random number generator. We haven't imported that class's information yet, so it's going to error out once we hit that. So just waiting for the compiler to compile. Again, we're compiling this on a machine that's far away. Yeah, see, it complains about random. It can't find that symbol, nor can it find scanner. So we have to import those. So first off, let's say import java.util. It's not helping us at all. Random. That should get rid of the random class error. And then for the scanner, I think the scanner's in java.io. And we'll see if that makes our problems go away so far. We'll still have problems down here with the input dialog, but we're going to be getting rid of that. So let's see what happens here. So certainly this style of coding is a lot different than the drag and drop coding that we've been used to in the game design class. This is actually rather challenging. Here, can't find the scanner class. So I'm not sure exactly where scanner is located. I need to find that. Give me a moment. Yeah, so it looks like the scanner, you figure it'd be there, but it's actually in util along with random. So they're both in the same library. We're getting a little help now too, which is good. All right, so we're getting rid of this. And we'll put a, I just want to get this to compile. Let's see if we can compile this. Now, so compiling is the process of taking the code and it's converting it into something called Java bytecode, which is kind of an intermediate language between, yeah, so it dies right there. Yeah, and that's expected at that point, but it is compiling, which is good. It's an intermediate language is between Java and the machine code, the actual commands that go to the processor or the CPU. So we've got our scanner. Now we have to get that information into our string. So actually we don't need string guess anymore. We can just get our guess directly from the scanner. So let's do that. So instead of that, we can say input dot next int. So it's kind of like the random number generator in that regard. And that will, whatever the user typed in on the command line, that's what we'll get in our guess. And then we can do our math from there. You know, these comparisons. I wonder why it's saying that. Input is never closed. Oh, I see. So we'd add that to the bottom here. You'd say input dot close. Files, when you open it, or even input streams like we're using here, need to be closed after you're done using them. So that's what we're trying to do. So it's just reminding us to do that. Okay. So now we just get the input from the user. So this is a little simpler. Then now that we have the guess that we can compare it, we want to send a message out to the command line that is too low. So we say system dot out dot lowercase p print line, and we'll just tell the user it's too low. Okay. Make sure to put a semicolon at the end. Make sure to spell system correctly. That's important. Yeah, now I can see it. Okay. So if we find that the guess is less than the target, that we know the guess is too low, so we put out the line too low. And then just like we did with too low, when we figured out that the guess was too high, we'll say, okay, it's too high. So we changed the message to too high. And then finally, if it's not less than, if the guess is not less than the target or greater than, then we know that it's equal to. Now I see a lot of people ask that question: are they equal? And the answer is, well, you don't have to ask that because you already know the answer. If it's not less than, and if it's not greater than, then it's equal to. So we say system.out.println, and we would say you win. Okay, so let's see if this would kind of work. There's still a lot of problems, but we'll see if it actually functions. So one thing we forgot to do is prompt the user. It's probably just waiting for us to type something down here. So if we click down here, yeah, we have to put a prompt in. We just haven't done that yet. So I'm going to click down here and just enter a number 50, let's say. Hit enter. That's too high. But then the program's over. See how we get the little arrow back again. So it only let us ask the question once. We found out it was too high, but then it didn't give us another opportunity to ask the next question. We need a way to tell the user, hey, we're waiting for input right here. So maybe right here we would say system.out.println. And you would say, please enter a guess between 1 and 100. Now make sure not to put a line break here. I'm going to make this wider. It's word wrapping on us. So that all has to be in one line just to make sure you get that right. All right, so let's try this again and see if we get our prompt. It's compiling right now. Okay, so we see our prompt now. Please enter a guess between 1 and 100. Again, I'll say 50 and see how it responds. This time it's too low, so we know the number that the computer generated as our target was higher than 50, so it's between 51 and 100. So a smart guesser would say, well, I'm going to take that range and divide it in half. And so maybe they guess 75 or 76. And you keep having that range until you finally zero in on the right answer. But we have to allow them to do this more than 7 or up to 7 times. So we need to put a loop in here. So I guess our loop would have to start right here, right before the prompt. And then we would say gets a little bit strange. For I should do a for loop or a while loop. I think maybe a while loop would be better. While the guess is not equal to the target, they haven't found it yet. And then you say or. Trying to find the or key on this keyboard. Where is that or key? It's here. Yeah. So that's a really strange key. You don't normally use that symbol kind of hardly in anything except for programming. It's right above the return key or the enter key, shifted. So you hit the shift key and press the key right above the enter key on your keyboard. At least if you're using a PC keyboard. I'm not sure on a Mac keyboard where that's located. But we want to say we want to keep looping while guess is less than target, or maybe the count or the num guesses is less than or equal to 7. Okay. Which means we need a num guesses variable. We haven't created that one yet. So maybe we do that here. You say int num guesses. Well, when they start, the number of guesses will be 0. So we'll initialize that variable to 0 to make sure that we start at 0 when we start counting. Now the next thing we do in order to loop is we have to put brackets around the part that we want to loop and the part we want to repeat over and over. So what I'm doing here is I'm selecting everything like to here, and then this is weird, I'm going to hit the tab key. Now typically when you hit tab in an editor, it will replace everything with a tab, but in a programming editor like this, it should just scoot everything over one level of indentation. Let's see if it does that. Yeah, so I'm hitting the tab key. That's right above the caps lock key on the left side of the keyboard. And that scoots everything over. Indentation is really important when you're writing code like this, because it tells you how things are grouped together. All right, and so that's everything in the loop. But then here at the bottom of the loop, we have to remember to to add 1 to the number of guesses. And so the simple way to add 1 to a variable is just to say ++, and that will take num guesses and add 1 to it. And so now num guesses will be 1. And it'll do this up to 7 times. But after the 7th guess, I guess they lose, right? So you tell them they win. But then what we're going to do, instead of telling them they lose, we're just going to tell them that the game is over. So they didn't win. The game is just game is going to end, I guess. So we'll say, because you'll get here regardless of whether you win or lose. So I'm just trying to make it simple. We'll say game over. So if they won, they'll be told they won, and then it'll say game over. If they lose, it'll just say game over. It'll do that both times. Okay, so let's run it and see if we get lucky and see if it works the first time. My guess is that it won't, because code never generally works the first time you write it. You try it, you write it, and it's, yeah, you get something like that. Guess. Variable guess. What's the wrong with that? Cannot find symbol. Yeah, guess doesn't get defined until down here. So what we have to do is move this declaration out here with num guesses. So we would say int guess, and we'll set guess equal to 0, since that's not a valid guess, and so it will never be equal to our target number to begin with. So all right, so let's try it one more time. Like I said, every time, it's just very rare when you write code to have it run or actually work the first time. It's kind of a challenge. All right, so here's our first prompt. Please enter a guess between 1 and 100. I say 50. That's too high. Okay, so it's got to be less than 50, so I'm going to say 25. That's still too high. Well, let's cut 27 or 25 in half. I'm going to say 12. Oh, 12 is too low. So we know it's between 12 and 25. So far I've got 3 guesses. So let's try, well, between 12 and 25 is about 13. So if I divide 13 by 2, that's 6 or so. So if I add 6 to this, I say 18. 18 is too high, so it's between 12 and 18. So it's halfway between 12 and 18. That's 6, so we had 3, it'd be 15. 15 is too high, so we know it's between 12 and 15. So it can only be 13 or 14. So let's just try guess one, 13. I won. Hey, wow. But see how my loop didn't end. It's still asking me for a number, even though I won. So why would that be? So here we got the guess. We found that they were equal. We added 1. Oh, yeah, so we used the wrong logical operator here. We said or. If the guess is not equal to target, or number of guesses is less than 7. That's for the while loop. So in English, while the guess doesn't equal the target, meaning while they haven't guessed it right yet, or the number of guesses is less than 7. Well, yeah, our number of guesses is only 6 at this point. So we need both of these things to be true, not just one or the other. So we'll stop the program here, and I'll change this to and. So and you use the ampersand, which is, oh, where is that? Let's see. Yeah, it's shifted on the number 7 key on the top of the keyboard. Put 2 ampersands, one right after the other. So let's call it as an ampersand. And I think that should fix our problem. Okay, so let's run it one more time. I'll just do a quick run. Wait for our prompt. There's our prompt. Okay, I'm going to go use my little strategy again. 50 is too high, so I go 25. 25 is too high, so 12. 12 is too high. Ooh, okay, must be a low number. 6. 6 is too high. 3. 3 is too low. So we know it's between 3 and 6. So it's got to be 4 or 5. Here's 4. It's got to be 5 then. This is my 7th guess. I win. Game over. So it looks like it worked. Now I'm going to try it one more time, and I'm just going to guess poorly, and I'll probably lose, or at least a lot. We want to count how many guesses I get. We want to make sure that we're only getting 7 guesses. So run it one more time. But I'll play poorly so that we use more than 7 guesses. Okay, so I'll say 50. It's too low. 50 is too low. Okay, I'll say 25. See, I'm making the wrong choices here purposefully. 12. Of course, these are all too low. Okay, this is our 7th guess, I think. Maybe this is our 7th. Yeah, game over. Too low. So the way they lose is they just don't win, I guess. And then they run out of guesses. Let's just make sure we only got 7 guesses. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, did we get an extra guess? Yeah, it looks like we did. Counting them backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we got 8 guesses. We're only supposed to get 7. So the mistake then is here. We've got to get rid of this equal sign. Because remember, our num guesses starts at 0. I guess another way to fix it would just start this number out at 1. We're on the first guess. And that will fix it. So just to review the code, I recognize this is really complicated. And this is really weird because we haven't coded in Java that much. But if you make your code match this exactly, then you should be successful in getting this program to run. If you have trouble with it, certainly just email me and I'll give you a hand. But you start out with these 2 input statements and then you go on. But I'll just scroll through the code slowly and then you can stop the video and copy what you see. That's basically it. Make sure you get these closing curly braces, open and closing ones lined up. Each opening one has to match a closing one down below. See how that matches? It puts a little box around it. So they get put in pairs and then they have stuff inside them. But if you make your code look exactly like this, then you'll get output that looks exactly like that. And then you'll be able to play the guessing game.